Act 1, The Black Host. Segment 1, The Summons Beneath Vyarad. Prague doesn't go quiet on All Hallows Eve, it hums. Not the way a living city hums, with engines and laughter, but like something old turning over in its sleep. I remember the fog first. It came in slow off the Vltava, crawling through the gates of Vyarad like smoke with a purpose. My sister Lydia, 15 and drunk on corpse paint and sugar, twirled in it like a ghost that had found its stage. Finn, our 11-year-old cousin, clanked beside us in his foam crusader armor, sword bouncing on his belt. They were light in that dark, two small flickers of life I had promised my aunt to protect. And me? Caleb Vane, festival coordinator, burnout incarnate. I was the guy who spent 6 months planning Prague's Samhain masquerade and still couldn't remember why. Maybe because the dead didn't need invitations, they just needed permission. When the fog thickened, the laughter of the crowd thinned. Vendors packed up, leaving only the sound of gravel and the wet sigh of candles guttering on tombstones. Lydia grabbed my sleeve. Caleb, can we stay until the witching hour? I wanted to say yes. Wanted to let her feel something pure and ancient, something that wasn't a phone screen or exam results. But the cemetery had shifted, the air tasted metallic, like a coin pressed to the tongue. 5 minutes, I said. Then tram home. That's when I saw him. A figure beside a crypt, standing motionless, not part of the crowd, not a reveler. The fog broke just enough to outline a matte black plate carrier, a crimson cloak, and a balaclava that caught no light. He had no lantern. No visible breath. Lydia waved, thinking he was a performer. He didn't move. I felt the CZ-75 in my satchel, not bravado, just an old Czech habit from my father, a police officer who taught me one lesson: never assume the living are the dangerous ones. The man turned his head slightly, following our path as we crossed between graves. His boots ground gravel like millstones. I tightened my grip on Lydia's shoulder. Stay close. Finn said, he looks cool. Like a knight. He's not a knight. Then what is he? I didn't have an answer. We passed a row of angel statues, all eroded into eyeless things. For a heartbeat, I swore one of them had turned toward us. The tram stop's light was a trembling yellow coin in the fog. Only one other person stood there, a woman in a black hood, police patch half hidden by her jacket. I remember her pale eyes, glacial and unreadable. She watched me too long before stepping forward. Caleb Vane. Her accent was clipped, Czech through a mouth that had learned other dialects first. My heart sank. Yeah? Valka. Policy. She flashed something like a badge, but didn't let me read it. You're under surveillance for grave desecration. Lydia laughed, thinking it was some kind of prank. I didn't. I raised my hand slightly, half between surrender and disbelief. What? I work for the City Festival Board. She cut me off. No weapon, no dawn for you. Her voice cracked on that last word, dawn, as if it meant something heavier than it should. Then they came. From the catacomb steps behind her, 5 figures rose out of the fog, faces chalk white, bodies rigid, moving like marionettes. The light hit them and didn't stick. It just slid off. Lydia gasped. Finn dropped his plastic sword. Valka's hand twitched toward her holster, but she didn't draw. Her voice went lower. Run. What? Run now. I shoved the kids toward the road, grabbed Lydia's hand, and sprinted. The sound that followed, not boots, not footsteps, but the grinding of earth, chased us. At the tram crossing, a taxi screeched to a stop. I flung the door open, shoved them in. To Andal, Reichel. The driver cursed, floored it, tires screaming on wet cobblestone. Through the rear window, I saw Valka surrounded, her red cloak swallowed by figures that shouldn't have existed. The fog folded over them, and they were gone. I didn't sleep for 48 hours. Couldn't. I told the police what happened. They told me Vairad was closed after 11, no officer named Valka existed, no crypt patrol was authorized. When I tried to show them the footage from my phone, the video was static. Just static, and a frame of my own face blinking back at me. The next morning, a burner phone pinged outside my building. When I found it, its only image was of that same taxi from that night, parked beneath my flat's window. The file was time-stamped 2 hours after I'd gone to bed. That night, I started flying my drone, a cheap quadcopter, thermal camera attached. The first few sweeps showed pigeons, a stray cat, nothing. Then, near 3:14 a.m., the camera caught heat signatures, 6 of them, standing motionless in the courtyard, facing my building. All the same height. All the same shape. Each one cold enough to distort the thermal feed. I leaned out the window with my pistol drawn. Nothing. Just the city hum, and a faint smell of iron in the air. You'll think I'm insane when I tell you this, but I swear the sound came from under the floorboards. A soft shuffle, then a voice, muffled, but clear. Vane. Caleb Vane. I froze. The same tone, the same calm authority. Valka's voice. I whispered, "Who are you?" Silence. Then the faint tapping, 5 times. A code. I checked the burner again. A new photo had been sent. It was my door. From inside my flat. I don't know if this is a haunting, or an operation, or something older than either. But every night since, I've heard the grinding again, the gravel, the boots, the sound of the earth turning over. And in the quiet before dawn, I swear I see them through the fogged glass of the balcony. 6 silhouettes, waiting, motionless, like sentries at a border that no longer holds. Caleb, to audience. Prague remembers its dead. We built the city on their bones, named our streets after their saints, and threw festivals to keep them sleeping. But Samhain doesn't care for parades or prayers. It opens doors. And this year, the dead didn't knock. They just walked in. Segment 2, the ones who don't cast shadows. You start to notice patterns when you're afraid. You start mapping the dark, counting how many seconds it takes for headlights to reach your window, memorizing which footsteps echo, and which ones don't. By the second night after Vairad, I had drawn my own perimeter. Drone above. Motion sensors on the door. Gun within reach of the pillow. And under the noise of the city, I could still hear it, gravel grinding in rhythm, like a heartbeat beneath the earth. Lydia stayed at my aunt's. Finn was still shaking from the tram stop, couldn't sleep without the lights on. I told them both to forget it, told myself the same. But Prague doesn't forget. Its stones hold memory better than its people. That night, my phone buzzed once. No caller ID. One photo. Black and white. It was my own building from across the street, my window glowing faintly, and in the foreground, a reflection caught in the glass. A face half covered by a balaclava, eyes glacial. Valka. No message. No caption. Just that face, looking straight through the lens, like she knew exactly when I'd open it. I went cold. I checked every camera feed, every door lock, the alley, the stairwell. Nothing. At 2:47 a.m., the elevator stopped on my floor. The power didn't flicker, but the sound, that soft, ancient grinding again, carried through the walls. Then came a faint knock. 3 times. When I opened the peephole, no one was there, only the reflection of the hallway light bouncing off the tiled floor. But the tile wasn't reflecting me. It was reflecting 6 figures standing down the corridor, motionless, heads slightly tilted, faces white as ash. I blinked. They were gone. I tried to rationalize it the next morning. Sleep deprivation, stress, old trauma bleeding into imagination. Then I found the footprints in the hallway dust. Not shoe prints. Bare feet. Perfectly clean. Lydia called around noon. She'd had a nightmare, said a woman in a red cloak stood outside her window, whispering in Czech. "Come home, little banshee." My stomach turned. I told her to stay inside, lock the door, keep the curtains closed. When I hung up, my reflection in the screen wasn't mine. For half a second, I swear I saw her face, Valka's, staring back, mouth half open, as if to speak. I stopped going to work. Couldn't stand the chatter, the laughter, the festival aftermath. My boss thought it was burnout. Maybe it was. Burnout of the soul. I spent hours watching my drone feed, rooftops, alleys, courtyards. And there she was. Valka. Standing motionless on the opposite roof, cloak crimson even in thermal vision. No heat signature. No breath. When the drone tilted to zoom, the feed cut to static, and for one frame, I saw the words "tithe" marked burned across the screen in red pixels. When the image came back, she was gone. That night, I pulled every document I could find about Vairad crypts. There was a sealed chamber beneath the basilica, a burial vault closed since 1945, the year Prague burned and rebuilt. According to an old municipal archive, it housed remnants of the Black Host, members of a heretical brotherhood executed for grave rites. I cross-referenced that with one of my festival permits. The site was used for our Samhain pyres. It was 50 meters from that sealed vault. At 3:09 a.m., my laptop camera flickered on by itself. I watched, frozen, as the screen showed my own apartment, in real time, from the corner near the window. And there, reflected faintly in the glass, 6 silhouettes stood outside on the roof across the street. They weren't facing me this time. They were facing each other, like a circle, heads bowed. And in the center, something moved beneath a crimson cloak. Then the audio came through. A woman's voice, soft, distant, like it was echoing from the bottom of a well. "You burned our offering. The ash carries your name." The laptop shut off. When I woke hours later, my room smelled of earth and iron. The kind of smell cemeteries have after rain, wet stone and old metal. My pillowcase was streaked with black soil. And under the pillow, a coin. Czech mint, dated 1945. But its engraving wasn't standard. It read, "No dawn for you." I didn't go to the police again. I started keeping a record instead, writing everything, logging times, taking screenshots of screenshots. But every morning, the files were gone. Replaced by one folder named Host. Inside, a single image of the Vairad gate, fog pouring through it like breath. By the third night, I realized what I was seeing in the reflection. They weren't human faces. Not really. They were masks, carved, expressionless, worn thin as skin. And beneath the eyes, faint red runes pulsed, like veins of light. I remember whispering into the dark, "What do you want from me?" And something, not a voice but a vibration through the walls, answered. The tithe. The remembrance. The debt owed by the living. Around 4 a.m., the building's power cut out. Emergency lights flickered on, one by one. I stepped into the hall, pistol raised. The air was thick, like fog but heavier, as if the building itself was breathing. And at the far end, near the stairwell, stood a figure, hooded, cloak crimson, face unseen. In one hand, she held something small. A photograph. My photograph. Me, Lydia, Finn, taken at the festival 2 nights before. When I aimed the pistol, she tilted her head and dropped the photo. Then, in a single, fluid movement, she stepped backward into the wall. Not through a door. Into the wall. The plaster rippled like water. Then it was just gone. The next morning, I packed everything. Laptop, gun, drone, the 1945 coin, the burner phone. I checked the hallway, normal, mundane. Kids running, elevator dinging, neighbor complaining about the heating. I thought maybe I'd finally snapped. Then, as I reached the exit, I noticed something carved into the frame of my door, 6 lines, radiating outward from a circle. The mark of the host. And below it, scrawled in ash, the veil thins in 2 nights. Caleb, to audience. Fear teaches you to measure time differently. Not in minutes, but in silences. In how long the world stays still before the next impossible thing happens. And when the city sleeps, when even the Vltava stops moving, you start to feel the pull. Like gravity, but older. Like the world remembering something it shouldn't. If you ever hear your name whispered through stone, don't answer. It's not meant for your mouth anymore. Segment 3, the crypt that remembered his name. The veil started thinning on a Thursday. At least, that's when the street lights began flickering in rhythm, 6 flashes, pause, 6 more. Like a heartbeat. Like a countdown. Every night since Vairad, I'd told myself that what I saw had an explanation. Paranoia. Grief. Trick of light. But when the city starts whispering your name back to you, logic stops holding up. I hadn't left my flat in 3 days. Didn't eat. Didn't sleep. Just watched. Through the drone feed. Through the window glass. Through the eyes of the dead city. And then, at 11:06 p.m., my phone chimed. Unknown number. Just one message. She went back to the gate. No name, no context. But I didn't need any. She meant Lydia. I called her number until my hands went numb. Straight to voicemail. The last message she'd sent earlier that day still sat unread on my screen. Can we go back to Vairad? I want to see if the lady in red was real. I felt the air go thin, like the city itself was holding its breath. I grabbed my pistol, coat, flashlight, and the 1945 coin still warm from my pocket. The fog was already waiting for me when I stepped outside. It rolled through Prague like a living thing, swallowing color and sound until only the wet cobblestone glistened under weak moonlight. The city that never slept now looked embalmed. Every street light blinked as I passed. Every camera on my way to the metro turned off. And yet I knew something was watching. Vairad was closed, officially. But the padlock on the north gate was gone, hanging open like a broken jaw. Beyond it, the cemetery lay drowned in fog and candlelight, hundreds of votive flames swaying in glass jars, still burning though no one tended them. As I crossed the first row of tombs, the mist pressed closer. It wasn't cold anymore, it was heavy, almost humid, as though I were walking through breath. Halfway down the central path, I found her phone. Cracked. Screen black. Still warm. The last photo she'd taken showed a marble angel, its eyes carved out, its hand extended toward the ground. In the corner of the photo, faint red light glowed through the fog, forming a circle of symbols I didn't recognize. I followed it. The sound came first, whispering in Czech, Latin, something older. Then the faint clang of metal, echoing up from beneath the stones. And there, half buried under ivy and neglect, stood the sealed crypt Valka had claimed as her jurisdiction. The door was engraved with 2 words. Hostem mortis. The guest of death. The lock had been shattered from the inside. Inside smelled of earth and mildew, but underneath that, iron. Fresh. I raised the flashlight, and the beam caught on bones scattered across the floor, not arranged randomly, but in a pattern, spiraling outward from the center of the chamber. In the middle stood an altar of black marble, and carved into its face. Caleb Vane. My own name, etched deep, as if it had been waiting centuries for someone to read it. The flashlight shook in my hand. I wanted to believe it was a coincidence, that someone had carved it recently as a joke. But the edges of the engraving were smooth, worn with time. I whispered, "Lydia?" Something moved behind the altar, slow, deliberate. I aimed the pistol. "Show me your hands." Silence. Then, a voice. Low, hoarse, but unmistakable. "You brought the offering." Valka stepped into view. The crimson cloak was darker now, damp with something that wasn't water. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with light, but reflection, like the eyes of a predator in the dark. She smiled, lips cracked like stone. "You shouldn't have burned the letter. Fire binds. Ash remembers. I kept the gun trained on her. Where's my sister?" "Gone where you will follow. The host always claims the tithe by bloodline." She reached into her cloak and drew something small, a blackened coin, identical to mine. "We all pay the same way." Before I could move, the ground trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling, the bones around the altar rattled, and from the spiral of skulls, figures began to rise. Not from behind, not from shadow, from within the floor. Their faces were carved in chalk, features melted, eyes hollow. Each one bore the same runes I'd seen in the reflection. 6 of them. They formed a circle around Valka and me, whispering in a cadence older than speech. "Hostem mortis. Hostem vitae." The gate unbarred. My flashlight flickered, every pulse freezing the world into fragments. In one flash, their hands were empty. In the next, they held chains. In the next, the chains wrapped the altar. Valka's voice rose over the chanting. Samhain tore the veil. It does not close, it feeds. I fired. The shot echoed like thunder. The bullet hit her, but instead of blood, ash poured out, spreading through the air like smoke. The host turned as one, their heads tilting toward me, eyes hollow and endless. Something pulled at my chest, not physically, but deeper, as if the air itself had fingers inside me. I stumbled backward toward the entrance, lungs burning, vision strobing. Through the fog outside, I saw her, Lydia, standing by the gate. "Lydia." She smiled, but her eyes weren't hers anymore. They were pale, milk-white, reflecting nothing. She whispered, "They only took what you offered, Caleb." Then the lights died. When I woke, I was lying in the courtyard of Vairad. No fog. No fire. Just dawn breaking grey and merciless over the city. The crypt's entrance was sealed, no sign of damage. My pistol was gone. So was Lydia's phone. I staggered home, half conscious, my clothes streaked with ash. At my door, a parcel waited, wrapped in red paper, sealed with wax. Inside, a Polaroid. Me, kneeling inside the crypt, surrounded by 6 faceless figures. And behind me, Lydia, eyes white, hand on my shoulder. Written across the photo in black ink. The veil tore. The host remembers. That night, I heard a knock. 3 times. When I looked through the peephole, no one stood there, only the faint reflection of a crimson cloak fluttering down the stairwell. The next morning, the news reported a power surge across central Prague at 11:59 p.m. The same time the candles in Vairad had reignited on their own. Witnesses said they saw shapes moving through the smoke, 6 dark silhouettes, circling the basilica, whispering in unison. Caleb, to audience. I don't know if they are dead. I don't know if I am. What I do know is that some doors, once opened, never close. Samhain isn't a night anymore. It's a pulse, something beneath our feet, remembering us. If you ever find your name carved in stone, walk away, Don't ask why. Don't try to understand. The dead don't want answers. They want company. Act 2, The Wraith of the Wagon. Segment 1, The Man in the Wolf Pelt Cap. Halloween in Bran is like a fairy tale that remembers it used to eat children. There are torches, fake coffins, actors dressed as vampires posing for tips, but if you stay long enough, past midnight, the laughter thins out. The music stutters. And the forest remembers it's older than the stories told about it. My name's Rowan. I was 12 that year, the year my friend Silas dared me to take the midnight wagon ride. He said it would be fun. A Halloween tradition, he called it. But no one said what kind of tradition. We climbed into the hay wagon with maybe a dozen tourists, couples with selfie sticks, kids in glow-in-the-dark capes. The air smelled of wet pine and smoke. The driver, a broad man with a face like dry bark, grunted once and cracked his reins. The horses started up the slope. Behind us, Bran Castle loomed against the fog, all floodlit stone and superstition. Ahead, the road wound into the forest. Silas nudged me. Bet you can't stay quiet the whole way. Why? Because the Wraith listens to noise, he said, grinning. You talk, it finds you. Typical Silas, half brave, half stupid. The adults laughed as we went deeper. Someone played an accordion. A woman with a red scarf started telling ghost stories in broken English. About blood, wolves, and the price of crossing old boundaries. But after the first turn, the music stopped. The fog swallowed the sound. At first I thought the driver had stopped for effect, maybe part of the show. Then I noticed he wasn't moving. He sat stiff in his seat, torchlight flickering against his eyes. They weren't focused on the road, but on something ahead, something standing just beyond the torchlight. The horses snorted, restless. Their breath came out white and ragged. Silas whispered, "Rowan, do you see him?" I did. A man in a wolf pelt cap, an oil-stained greatcoat stood between the trees. He didn't move, didn't blink. The torchlight caught the edge of something shiny in his hand, a chain, or maybe a knife. I remember the way his eyes reflected the fire. Not red, not animal, metallic, like mirrors turned inward. Someone shouted from the wagon. "Hey! You lost, friend?" No answer. The driver snapped the reins, once, twice. The horses bolted. We lurched forward, hay flying. The wagon rattled over stones and roots, and when I looked back, the man was gone. I thought that would be the end of it, just a scare. Tourist adrenaline. But when we reached the clearing, the torches around the circle of standing stones were already lit. No one had gone ahead to light them. They just burned, steady and silent, as if they'd been waiting for us. The driver muttered something under his breath, crossing himself. 10 minutes, he told us. Look. Pictures. Then back. He wouldn't get down. Silas, of course, jumped off first. "Come on," he called. "Let's find the best stone." The adults followed, laughing again, relieved. But the forest didn't laugh back. It breathed. Every gust felt like something exhaling between the trees. We took pictures. We pretended not to hear the whispers that sounded like names. The air felt thin, like it was missing oxygen. Silas climbed one of the stones, striking a pose with his plastic sword. "Dracula's air," he yelled. Something rustled in the dark behind him. Not the wind. Heavy, deliberate. I turned. The man in the wolf pelt cap was back. He stood at the edge of the clearing, still statue still. The firelight didn't touch him this time. It slid off him the way it had off the host in Caleb's story, though I didn't know that name yet. The driver shouted, "Everyone back on the wagon." No one moved. The man raised his hand slowly, and in it dangled something red. A ribbon, and at its end, a tooth. He spoke softly. Romanian, maybe. The only word I understood was Sanj. Blood? He smiled, or maybe it was a snarl. Come, children, he said, switching to English. My cabin has Sanj Dulci. Sweet blood. The tourists started backing away. Someone laughed nervously, the kind of laugh people make before they scream. Silas whispered, he's part of the show, right? But the driver was already climbing down, torch raised. Stay, he barked. The man didn't flinch. He dropped the tooth. It hit the ground with a sound like glass breaking. Everything after that blurred into chaos. The horses screamed. The torches dimmed. The trees themselves seemed to bend closer, their branches clawing the fog. Silas grabbed my arm and ran. We didn't know where we were going, just away. Behind us came the sound of chains dragging through wet leaves. A rasping breath, too close. We stumbled over roots, my lungs burning, my hands raw from branches whipping past. Every few seconds, I thought I heard him whispering. Sanj Dulci. Sanj Dulci. Sweet blood. We broke through the tree line, and into the open courtyard of Bran Castle. Tourists were still milling around, laughing, buying candied apples, oblivious. We turned to look back. The path behind us was empty. When the police searched later, they found the wagon overturned in the clearing, torches extinguished, horses gone. The driver was missing. So were 3 tourists. All they found was a single child's shoe, nailed to the oak tree at the edge of the forest, soaked through with blood. Silas swore it wasn't mine. But I wasn't so sure. That night, I tried to sleep. I couldn't. Every creak of the floorboards sounded like footsteps circling the bed. At 3:14 a.m., I woke to a sound at the window, scratching, deliberate, like claws on glass. When I looked, there was something resting on the sill. A wolf pelt cap. Wet. Dripping. By morning, it was gone. But the window still bore 5 faint prints, too large to be human, pressed from the outside. Rowan, to audience. The guide said it was a myth, the wagon wraith, the blood sweets, the old harvest god who collects what's left behind. But myths start somewhere. And sometimes they don't stay stories. Sometimes they wait, in forests, in stones, in the thin places where laughter dies. Samhain tore something open that night. And I think it let him out. Segment 2, The Circle of Teeth. They say the Carpathians breathe differently after midnight. The wind doesn't move through the trees, it circles. Like lungs without a body. That night, the forest wasn't just alive. It was listening. After the police left Bran, Silas's parents booked the first train back to Cluj. I begged my mother to do the same, but she brushed it off, called it hysteria, said the driver must have been drunk. She didn't see what we saw. By dawn, Bran Castle looked normal again. Tourists. Coffee carts. Drone cameras buzzing like flies. But I couldn't look at the tree line without feeling watched. The local police said they'd search again once the fog lifted. It didn't. The next night, I couldn't stay in the hotel. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard that chain dragging through leaves. So I took my phone, snuck out before midnight, and walked toward the forest. I told myself I'd prove it wasn't real. That if I could just see the clearing again in daylight, it would all make sense. But the fog didn't wait for dawn. It was already there, thick, low, curling across the road like something breathing on the ground. By the time I reached the first row of trees, the air smelled of iron and pine sap. And under that, smoke. I found the wagon first. Or what was left of it. It lay splintered in the mud, one wheel still spinning slow from the wind. The harness was empty. No horses. No driver. But the torch brackets were still hot to the touch. In the mud nearby, something gleamed, a tooth, wrapped in a red ribbon, just like the one the man had dropped. When I picked it up, it was warm. I should have run. But there's a point where fear stops being fear. It becomes curiosity that's gone feral. And I had to know. The standing stones loomed through the fog, just visible like grey sentinels. I counted them. 12. In the center, a ring of earth blackened like it had burned. Something had been dragged there, you could still see the furrows, the claw marks, like something struggling to stay above ground. I crouched beside one of the marks and saw fingernails embedded in the dirt. When I turned on my phone flashlight, the beam hit something carved into the nearest stone, a sigil, circular, teeth-like, made of overlapping triangles. It looked fresh. Someone whispered behind me. Rowan. Silas's voice. I spun around, heart hammering. He stood just beyond the stones, half hidden by the fog. Silas. Jesus, He smiled. Too calmly. Come see what he showed me. Every instinct screamed no. But when I tried to step back, the ground shifted. My foot sank into mud that wasn't there a second ago. It was warm. Silas tilted his head. The fog around him thickened until I couldn't see his feet, only his face, pale under the torchlight. Then I saw it. His eyes weren't brown anymore. They were silver, flat, reflecting the torch like metal. The man in the wolf pelt cap stepped up behind him. His coat glistened with moisture that wasn't rain. He rested one hand on Silas's shoulder, and the boy's body went rigid. Found the brave one, the man said. His voice was low, patient, like a teacher explaining something to a child. Always the brave ones first. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a second ribbon, this one black. Your turn, little Rowan. Come take what's owed. I shook my head, backing away. You're not real. He smiled, teeth too sharp. Reality is just the lie you tell yourself when the veil closes. The torches flickered all at once. The forest groaned. And from the circle of stones, something began to rise. Hands, dozens of them, grey and slick, clawing at the air, gripping roots, dirt, bone. A chorus of whispers filled the clearing. Sanj Dulci, Sanj Dulci. Sweet blood. Silas started walking toward them. I screamed his name. The man held him tighter. He's chosen. I ran. Didn't care where, just away, down the slope, through thorns and bramble that tore at my legs. Behind me came the sound of laughter, not joyful, not human. A broken rhythm like rusted bells. Branches whipped my face. My phone died mid-call. The torchlight behind me flickered in the fog like lightning, too erratic to be fire. Then came the smell, blood and wet fur. I stumbled into a hollow, tripped over something soft. It was a goat. Or what was left of one. Its throat was slit clean, and in its mouth was a coin, Czech mint, 1945. The same year. The same coin Caleb Vane had found. I didn't know that then. But later, when I saw the police photo in the news, I understood. We were part of the same story, centuries apart, but somehow connected. The host, the Wraith, they were all servants of the same hunger. I heard footsteps again. Closer. Deliberate. I ducked behind a tree, holding my breath. Through the fog, I saw him again, the man in the cap, walking with impossible stillness, each step silent. He dragged something behind him. A chain. At the end of it, tied like a dog, was Silas. He didn't struggle. Didn't even look afraid. He just whispered something I couldn't hear, lips moving like prayer. The man stopped, turned toward the woods, toward me. Run if you like, he said softly. Fear sweetens the blood. I ran until I couldn't breathe. Branches ripped my shirt. My lungs burned. I broke through the trees and saw the castle lights ahead, a miracle. I didn't stop until I hit stone. The guards found me shaking, barefoot, screaming something about chains and teeth. When they went back to the forest, there was nothing. No wagon. No Silas. No man. Only the stones, blackened and cold. Days later, when we left Romania, my mother thought I was quiet because of shock. I let her think that. But the truth is, something followed me back. Every night, I still hear the chain. Sometimes soft, sometimes distant. And every Halloween since, I find something on my windowsill. The first year, it was the wolf pelt cap. The second, a child's tooth wrapped in a red ribbon. Last year, a Polaroid of me asleep, with something standing in the corner of my room, face hidden, eyes silver. Rowan, to audience. When the veil thins, some spirits pass through to visit. But others, they come to collect. Silas's parents still get calls from an unknown number every October. They don't answer anymore. But I've listened to one. The voice on the other end just says, "The sweet blood runs still." Then laughter. And the sound of chains. Segment 3, The Ghost in the Glass. I don't dream anymore. Not real dreams, anyway. Only loops, the chain dragging through leaves, the tooth on the ribbon, Silas turning his head too slowly to be human. They say trauma repeats itself until you listen. I've been listening for 2 years. We moved to Dublin after Romania. New school, new flat, new everything. But the sound followed. At first it was faint, like a car passing outside, or plumbing. Then it began syncing with my heartbeat. Every night at 3:14 a.m., the chain dragged again. Sometimes it was outside the window. Sometimes it was under the bed. I tried recording it. My phone picked up nothing but static, white noise, faint whispers under it. When I ran the audio through a filter, there were words layered inside. Sanj Dolsai. Tithe unfulfilled. I didn't know what tithe meant, not really. But the word made me colder than the whisper ever could. My mother tried to help. Therapy, sleep studies, antidepressants. None of it touched the thing that waited between the walls. Sometimes, when she came into my room, the chain stopped, like it was pretending. Other nights, she'd find mud on the windowsill, or a single tooth on the desk. She told herself I was sleepwalking. I didn't have the heart to tell her I'd wake up standing in the living room, facing the front door, whispering in a language I didn't know. Then came the letter. No return address. The paper smelled faintly of earth and smoke. Inside, just one Polaroid. A man in a crimson cloak standing beside an old crypt. In the background, 6 chalk white figures. And carved into the stone beside them, Caleb Vane. On the back, in a child's handwriting. You saw him too. I spent days trying to find out who Caleb was. The internet gave me fragments. A missing persons report from Prague, dated 2023. Local coordinator disappears following All Hallows Eve festival, last seen near Vairad Cemetery. The article had one photo, a man in his 20s with tired eyes. Same ones that stared back from my nightmares. When I saved the image, my laptop froze. The screen went black. And faintly reflected in the glass, behind my own face, I saw him, the man in the wolf pelt cap, smiling. The haunting changed after that. It wasn't just sound anymore. It became memory. I'd wake up in other places, standing in the garden, barefoot, staring at nothing. Sometimes I'd find footprints beside mine, pressed deep into the grass. Bare feet. Clean. Once, I found a circle of stones in the yard. 12 of them. In the center, a single tooth. When I touched it, the world went quiet. For a second, I heard something behind silence, a low hum, like machinery grinding under miles of earth. And a voice, the same voice from the forest. The host walks west. The tithe is not complete. I started drawing the sigil I'd seen in Romania, the circle of triangles, the teeth. I didn't mean to. It just came out of my hand whenever I wasn't thinking. Once I caught myself carving it into my desk with a compass point. Another time, I found it scratched into the bathroom mirror. Mom thought I was acting out. I thought I was being prepared. Then the emails began. From addresses that didn't exist. Each one a grainy image, different cities, different people, all taken at night. A woman running through a snowstorm. A red car idling on a mountain pass. A man with a shotgun, standing in a cabin's doorway. I didn't understand it then, but those were the others. Ethan. Caleb. All of us marked by the same night. Attached to one of the emails was an audio clip. Distorted, half static. Samhain tore the veil, a voice said, male, strained, desperate. The host moves through the cracks. When you see the red cloak, run. The voice was Caleb's. I showed it to my teacher. She called the police. The file vanished from my phone before they arrived. The next morning, the teacher didn't come back to school. The news said she died in her sleep. No foul play. But her husband found the window open, footprints on the balcony. Bare feet. That was when I realized the Wraith hadn't followed me. I'd followed it. Everywhere I went, I felt the same pattern, the 6 flashes of streetlight, the whisper under the wind, the metallic taste before rain. It wasn't a haunting. It was a network. Each of us, Caleb, Lydia, Ethan, me, we were threads in whatever tore through that veil. Last week, I got a package. No sender. Inside, a red cloak, folded neatly. And underneath it, a phone. When I turned it on, there was only one video. Grainy footage from a drone, Prague rooftops, midnight fog. Then the feed tilts down to show 6 figures standing in a courtyard, facing the camera. In the middle, a child. Me? I watched myself look up, open my mouth, and whisper. The blood remembers. I dropped the phone. It kept playing. Now the camera panned upward, past the fog, to the clouds swirling in slow motion, like smoke being drawn back into a chimney. And there, hidden in the grey, a face formed, not human, not clear, but vast. Its eyes were hollow, its mouth open just enough to speak without sound. Then the video froze. And on the screen appeared one sentence, typed in white. The Wraith has crossed. You are the bridge. That night, the scratching at the window came again, longer this time, more deliberate. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The latch turned by itself. Wind spilled into the room, carrying the scent of pine and ash. And there, just beyond the curtain, a man stood, wolf pelt cap pulled low, eyes silver. He raised a hand and pointed toward the floor. When I looked down, a coin sat at my feet. Check mint. 1945. When I looked back up, he was gone. The window was closed. Rowan, to audience. They call Samhain the thinning of the veil, but they are wrong. It's not a veil. It's a door. And every time one of us dreams of them, the door opens wider. Caleb thought it ended in Prague. Ethan will think it ends in Orkney. But it doesn't. It moves. Through us. Through stories. Through every word spoken on the night the dead remember our names. When you hear the chain in the dark, don't run. It's too late for running. Just close your eyes. And listen. Because the sound it makes isn't chasing you. It's calling you home. Act 3 The Breaker at the Threshold. Segment 1 The Knock That Wasn't Weather. I've always liked storms. They keep the world honest. They make you remember how small you are. On the last night of October, 2024, the storm came early, wind clawing the croft, rain carving horizontal lines through the dark. The sea roared like a crowd outside my window, and every gust made the house breathe. I should have felt safe. I'd earned solitude, a week off from the podcast, no deadlines, no audience. Just me, the fire, and the Orkney sky losing its mind. I didn't believe in ghosts. Not then. The croft was small, one story, stone walls thick as a tomb, roof of slate blackened by age. It had stood through centuries of storms, through wars, through whatever the North Sea could throw at it. And yet, that night, it creaked like something alive. I was editing an episode, The Vanishing of Caleb Vane, of all things. A case I'd stumbled onto while researching European urban legends. Festival disappearance in Prague, weird police cover-up, the kind of story you tell for clicks. Halfway through the cut, the lights flickered. Then came the first knock. 3 taps on the side door. Soft, like fingertips on wood. I froze the audio, listened. Nothing. Just the storm. Then it came again, 3, evenly spaced. I checked the CCTV feed from my tablet. The side porch was empty. I told myself it was the wind. But wind doesn't knock in rhythm. By 11, the rain had thickened to sleet. The peat fire sank low, painting the walls in dull orange. I poured myself another whiskey and tried to finish the edit. Caleb's voice, taken from an old phone recording, filled the headphones. Samhain tore the veil. The host moves through the cracks. I smiled, half amused, half unnerved. The line was pure campfire nonsense. Until I heard a voice outside my headphones, the same sentence, whispered right behind me. I spun around so fast I nearly toppled the chair. No one there. Just the door. And on it, condensation, a single handprint, as if someone had leaned close to listen. I killed the fire, stood still, pistol within reach. Old instincts, my father's army paranoia living on through me. The only light came from the laptop screen. Static rolled across the waveform. Then, a flicker. A new file appeared on the desktop. Name, tithe_record.wav. I hadn't imported it. I hadn't touched anything. I double-clicked. The sound started soft, waves, maybe, or breathing through fabric. Then came a scraping noise, like metal dragged through wet earth. And beneath it, 6 voices whispering in unison. Breaker, breaker, open the threshold. I stopped the playback. The file kept going. The waveform pulsed on its own, red and jagged, and through the speakers came a woman's voice, calm, clipped, Czech accent. No weapon, no dawn for you. Valka. The name hit me like cold water. I'd heard that phrase before, in Caleb's transcript, in the background of one of the videos I'd cut. I closed the laptop. The voice didn't stop. It kept whispering from the speakers even though the machine was shut. Open the door, Ethan. The veil remembers you. The side door handle turned. Slowly. Like a polite guest testing permission. Then it clicked open. Wind punched through the hallway, carrying salt spray and the smell of seaweed and rust. I raised the shotgun, shouting, "Who's there?" Lightning flashed. For a heartbeat, I saw a figure in the doorway. Tall. Hooded. Mask white as frost. Eyes empty, milky, like drowned glass. Then darkness swallowed it. I slammed the door, bolted it, shoved a chair under the handle. Midnight. The power died. Only the firelight remained, low, guttering, barely a heartbeat of warmth. I tried the radio. Dead air, Outside, the storm screamed. Inside, the croft went still. Then, a new knock. From the back door this time. Slower. Heavier. Followed by a voice. Trick, or sacrifice. The words came through wood, warped by the wind, half playful, half starving. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The voice came again, closer. Breaker, open the threshold. I backed toward the staircase, shotgun trembling. The basement door creaked. Every light bulb in the house shattered at once, a sound like dry bones snapping. In the flash that followed, I saw them, 6 silhouettes standing in the yard, circling the house. The wind moved around them, but never through them. One of them, the one nearest the window, turned its head toward me. And though I couldn't see its face, I knew the shape of it. The wolf pelt cap. The smile. Something shifted under the floorboards. A low scraping, as if someone was digging upward. Then, from beneath me, the faint sound of a camera shutter. I looked down. Between the cracks in the wood, a Polaroid slid up, pushed by a gloved hand. It showed me asleep. Taken from inside the bedroom. Underneath, written in ash-grey ink. The host remembers. Ethan, to audience. You tell yourself fear is primitive, chemical. A misfire of evolution. But when it's in the walls, whispering your name, tracing the outline of your life with its cold, patient hands. It stops feeling primitive. It starts feeling personal. And I think the veil doesn't tear by accident. It tears where we are weakest, in loneliness, in loss, in the empty spaces between our heartbeats. The host doesn't come to frighten. It comes to fill the silence. Segment 2, the voice beneath the floor. The thing about storms is they erase boundaries. Between sky and sea. Between sound and silence. And tonight, between inside and outside. I stopped checking the doors around 12:40. No point. Each time I bolted one, another knock began somewhere else, gentle, patient, like the world itself was tapping its way in. The fire was dying again. I could hear the peat collapsing in on itself, sighing like it was giving up. Then came the scraping. Not from the windows or walls, but directly beneath my feet. A slow, deliberate sound, like someone carving letters into stone. I pulled back the rug, pried at the floorboards with the axe handle. When the plank lifted, the smell hit first, soil, damp, and something sweeter underneath, like rot mixed with metal. Below was a crawl space. I had never noticed it before. The beam from my flashlight caught movement, fresh wood shavings, dirt piled in a neat crescent, and at the far end, a tunnel mouth. The walls were smooth. Recent. Then a voice, muffled but close. Almost through. I froze. For a long minute, nothing. Then a hand, gloved, pale, frost-crusted, emerged from the tunnel and placed something on the dirt. A photograph. I leaned closer, heart pounding. It was my own face. Taken from above, eyes closed, mouth open like mid-sentence. Behind me in the photo stood a figure in a cracked Guy Fawkes mask. The same one from the door. I slammed the board shut, nailed it down with shaking hands. Then I poured kerosene over the edges. When I struck the match, the flame hesitated, a brief, wet hiss, like the ground itself was trying to swallow the fire. Then it caught. The smell was unbearable. Smoke bled through the cracks in the floor, dark and oily, rising in tendrils that curled toward the ceiling. And inside that smoke, for a heartbeat, I saw faces. Not human, just impressions of eyes and mouths, wide and silent, like charcoal sketches come alive. They twisted once, then vanished. I ran upstairs, coughing, the shotgun heavy in my hands. Outside the window, lightning struck the ridge, white flash, deafening crack. In the afterglow, 6 figures stood in a semicircle beyond the croft. They weren't walking anymore. They were waiting. The one in front wore the crimson cloak. Even from the second floor, I could see the black plate carrier beneath, the matte shine of the balaclava, just like the Prague file photo of Valka. She raised one hand. The others answered, each with a matching motion, as if tethered to her gesture by invisible strings. And from the ground below, I heard the scraping again, faster now. The boards in the living room split. Dirt burst upward, scattering ash and embers. Something climbed out, no longer a shadow, no longer pretending. It had the same height as me. Same hands. But its face was hidden behind a frost-rimed mask, one side cracked open to reveal skin that looked like frozen wax. Its eyes, pale, milk-glass white, locked onto mine. And then, in my own voice, it spoke. Breaker. You left the door open. For a second, I couldn't move. Then instinct took over. I raised the shotgun and fired. The blast filled the room, scattering smoke and plaster. The figure staggered back, but there was no blood. Only dust. It tilted its head, smiled with half a mouth. Salt can't kill what's already forgotten. I fired again. The second shot blew the mask apart, revealing nothing underneath. Just darkness, shifting like water. Then the darkness moved. It reached forward, touching the barrel of the gun, and the metal began to frost over. You called us with stories, it said. You spoke our names. You built our bridge. I stumbled back toward the stairs. Each step groaned like bone under pressure. Halfway up, something grabbed my ankle from beneath the banister. A hand, identical to mine, veins black, grip like ice. I swung the axe down, splitting fingers that dissolved into vapor. When I reached the landing, I turned, and the thing below was gone. Only smoke remained, rising in coils from the open crawl space. But the whispers had multiplied. They filled every corner of the croft, murmuring in unison. Breaker, open, open. I ran into the recording room, slammed the door, barricaded it with the desk. The equipment still hummed from the battery backup. I hit record. If you ever find this tape, you'll hear it all, the storm, the whispers, my own voice shaking. This is Ethan Blair, I said into the MIC. Location, Hoy, Orkney. Halloween night. They've come through. The host isn't dead. Behind me, a knock. Soft. Rhythmic. It wasn't at the door. It was inside the wall. Ethan, a voice breathed. You're not alone. The temperature dropped. I could see my breath, thick and white. When I turned, there was a reflection on the window, not mine. A face, wrapped in frost and bandages, eyes black as ink. The same eyes from Caleb's photo. From the dashcam footage Lila had sent. From Rowan's Polaroid. It leaned closer until the glass began to crack. Then it whispered, calm and final. The threshold breaks tonight. The window imploded inward, shards slicing across my face. I grabbed the recorder, bolted out of the room, down the stairs, past the shattered boards and smoking floor. The door was half torn open, snow sweeping through the hall like white fire. Beyond it, the crimson figure waited. Valka, or whatever wore her shape, stood still as a statue. Behind her, the others spread out in a half circle. And between them, the shadow of the sea reached up, black and glistening. Why me? I shouted into the wind. She tilted her head. Because you listen. Something exploded in the crawl space, a burst of orange light and hot wind. The croft shook, windows shattered, the storm howled louder than before. I raised the recorder, screaming over the noise. If anyone hears this, they are real. The host is real. The veil's gone. Then the floor gave way. I fell, Through smoke, through dirt, through cold that wasn't air but memory. And in that darkness, I saw them all, Caleb, Lila, Rowan, faces turning toward me, eyes milky and resigned. Their voices joined as one. Breaker, open the last door. Ethan, to audience. They weren't trying to kill us. They were trying to complete us. Every whisper, every photograph, every nightmare was just them finding their way back, piece by piece, through us. And I think I finally understand what breaker means. It's not someone who destroys the threshold. It's someone who becomes it. Segment 3, the face behind the frost. When I hit the ground, I expected pain. Instead, there was silence. The air wasn't cold anymore. It was thick. Like water. Like something that wanted to be breathed, but hadn't learned how. For a while, I couldn't tell if I was lying on stone or sky. Then I realized I was lying on film. A surface that shimmered and flexed under my weight, each movement rippling images through the dark. Faces. Dozens. Hundreds. People frozen mid-scream, mid-prayer, mid-breath. All of them looking up at me from beneath the translucent surface. The veil. It wasn't torn. It was alive. I still had the recorder in my hand. Its red light blinked like a pulse. "This is Ethan Blair," I whispered. "Still recording. I've fallen below the croft. It's not Earth. It's not anything I can describe." I pushed myself to my knees. The ground rippled with every motion, faces distorting beneath my palms. Some of them I recognized. Caleb. Rowan. Even that girl from the Romanian case, Lila. All staring up at me like reflections trapped under ice. And as I watched, their lips began to move. Slowly. In unison. Breaker. A shape emerged from the far side of the dark, tall, slow, moving with the rhythm of tide. Valka. Or what wore her? The crimson cloak trailed across the surface like blood across film. When she stopped, the world seemed to tilt toward her. "The threshold is ready," she said. Her voice wasn't air. It vibrated through my bones. "You've recorded enough names, spoken enough grief. You've built the door. Now open it." I tried to raise the shotgun, but it wasn't in my hand anymore. Neither was the recorder. Both had sunk halfway into the veil's surface, still pulsing red like buried embers. "Why me?" I asked. "Why any of us?" Valka tilted her head, that same mechanical motion from Caleb's description. "Because you remember. The living forget they're dead, but you gave them voices again. You made them stories." Behind her, the other figures appeared, 6 in total, their bodies indistinct, edges trembling like heat haze. Each face flickered through identities, Rowan's, Caleb's, Silas's, mine, a carousel of borrowed expressions. "We are what remains when the story ends," Valka said. "And you, Ethan, you are our ending." The veil brightened. The faces beneath it began to rise, pressing upward, stretching the membrane until it groaned. I could see their mouths open wider, wider still, until the sound burst through. A chorus of breath, wind, and memory. "Open. Open. Open." Something inside my chest gave way. Not a wound, more like a door unlatched. A rush of cold filled me, flooding veins, lungs, thought. Every memory I'd ever buried came roaring back, the arguments, the funerals, the late-night episodes about ghosts I never believed in. And under it all, another memory, one I'd never made. Standing in Prague. Fog curling between tombstones. A crimson envelope nailed to a door. The invitation, I breathed. Valka nodded. "You've always been part of the ledger." She reached out her hand. Her fingers were made of frost and smoke. Take it. Write your entry. When our hands met, the world went white. For a second, I was every one of them. Caleb burning the letter. Lila swerving through fog. Rowan clutching a tooth wrapped in ribbon. Each heartbeat replayed at once, like overlapping reels of film. Then came the static, deafening, endless. I was back in the croft, though it wasn't mine anymore. The walls were glass. Outside, snow fell upward. Every reflection on the surface of the room was wrong, slightly delayed, slightly smiling when I wasn't. In one of them, I saw my own reflection watching me. But the eyes weren't brown anymore. They were milky, empty, patient. The recorder was on the table. Still blinking red. I pressed play. The voice that came out wasn't mine. This is Ethan Blair. The threshold has opened. The host walks again. We are the stories that remember themselves. Then laughter, quiet, human, exhausted. And after that, a whisper. The blizzard will cover the bones. The sea will wash the names. But the ledger remains. I walked to the window. The storm outside had gone still, a frozen tableau of snow and sea. In the distance, across the ridge, I saw movement. A red car. An idling engine. A knife glinting under the aurora. Further beyond, fog, moorland, and the faint outline of a ruined abbey. Everything was happening at once, every place folded together, every story layered in one endless now. The world had become a single photograph still developing. And at its center, the dark figure in the crimson cloak. She looked up. And though there was no distance anymore, I heard her whisper like breath against glass. It's your turn to watch. The reflection in the window moved closer, until it pressed against the glass from the inside. Its mouth opened, my mouth, but the voice that came out was layered, echoing 1,000 tones deep. The ledger hungers. Then the glass shattered outward, and I was the wind, the frost, the scream in the snow. They found the croft 2 days later. Half collapsed, half buried. No body. Just the recorder, frozen mid-playback. The last words captured were quiet, almost calm. When the next storm comes, tell them not to lock their doors. The host doesn't knock anymore. Ethan, final monologue, to audience. If you're hearing this, it means the ledger has found you. It means you've listened. Every story leaves a door behind. And Samhain. Samhain just reminds the dead where the keys are. When your reflection lags by half a second. When you hear breathing behind your own breath. Don't run. Just whisper, I remember. Because that's all the host ever wanted. To be remembered. To be invited back in. And once you do, once you speak the name, you'll see me again. In the frost. In the glass. In the space where your voice should be.